It's time for the top 20 defensemen right now. Welcome inside the rink. Tony Luff and EJ Raddick, Thomas Hickey. Hicks, who doesn't love making a list and then having everybody scrutinize it on social media? Fun.
You can only be wrong. You can never be right because, especially in our game, EJ, you get so many good players. You're going to leave someone out. You're maybe going to leave 5 people out that other people see in this light as one of the best players in the world, defensemen we're talking today. You can never be 100% right, only in your mind, and that's why we do this.
That's right. For me, I just think it's a hard exercise because, to your point, there's so many really terrific players in this league, so many terrific defensemen. To try to separate them out, not everybody's going to be happy, but we give it our best shot.
Last year, this is how the list looked, and no one would argue with the guy at the very top. In fact, those top 2, Cale Makar and Quinn Hughes, and you see the way that the list filled out, ending up with Mo Seider of the Detroit Red Wings. As you look at those 2 tens, groups of 10, EJ, anybody jump out at you as someone who would make a jump this year?
Well, I think Werenski was someone that we think with the year that he had this year, clearly, in my mind, is certainly going to be a top 10, maybe a top 5.
For me, I look at that list. I'm going to play spoiler here. There's no Mo Seider on this year's list. And I thought last year at him at 20, I think I had him right around there and thought he's only to go higher and higher. There's names, a lot of new names on and a lot of names right there that we're not going to see again. So how many guys had bad years? Or is it the changing of the guard? We don't know that, but I think a lot of the guys that were on there and off, still quality players. I think they're going to be itching to get back up.
It's ultra competitive. Let's jump into the countdown, revealing the first 5 on our countdown from 20 to 1. We start at number 20 with Brock Faber of the Minnesota Wild. Then Lane Hudson at 19. Mikhail Sergachev, 18. Devon Toews, 17. And Adam Fox, a Norris Trophy winner. The first to win that lofty honor on a team that did not make the playoffs. Lane Hudson and the Montreal Canadiens not only made the playoffs, he won the Calder. EJ, he has your focus.
Yeah, Lane Hudson, it's been funny. I've been following him through his time with the U.S. junior program. And, even going back, he played some youth hockey in New Jersey at one point, even though he's from Illinois. And he was always too small. He's never going to play. He was a second-round pick. He wasn't like a top, 10, 15 pick. He was 62nd overall. But this guy is a competitor. And he's always believed in himself. He is fearless. He is elusive, as you see there. He's got the puck on his stick almost the whole time he's on the ice, seemingly. And this year he put up in his rookie year 6 goals, 60 assists, 66 points, most by a Montreal Canadiens rookie defenseman since 84-85 when Chris Chelios had 64 points. So you can see here, most points by a rookie defenseman. He's on a list with some pretty quality players.
In my mind, it's an evolving league, right? And what everyone's going to say this year's, the league's going to adapt to Lane Hudson. He gravitates towards the half wall, unlike any defenseman I've ever seen. So they're going to go, how can we minimize the damage that he can do against us? I think as the league adapts, Lane Hudson, if he taught us anything, he's going to adapt as well. I think he's only to get better and better. It was special watching him last year.
No doubt. And to EJ's point, if you rank at the top of a Montreal Canadiens list, that's special.
Pretty good.
Plenty of history
Pretty
there.
good.
There isn't as much history for the Utah Hockey Club, but among Utah Hockey Club fans, no one more beloved than Mikhail Sergachev. I know you're high on his game.
Yeah, I want to focus on him. And as far as Utah goes, he's been the #1 defenseman forever. But that's only 1 year. And this is a guy, it's his first test in the spotlight of being that #1 guy because he was behind Victor Hedman for so long. And when I look at his game, I look at a guy who dictates the pace of the other 9 skaters on the ice, maybe as well as anyone in the NHL. His ability to get a shot through like that is a standout thing for me. The big question with him and why I think he can climb higher is that pace that he gets everyone to play at. It's pretty casual. It's pretty slow, and that's not a bad thing. I want to see his pace pick up because with his ability to control play, the size that he has, the range that he can cover, he can do it at both ends of the ice. I don't see a reason why he can't be a Norris Trophy finalist, be in that conversation. And here he is, further down on that list. I only expect to see him climb. And Sergachev, we got to remember, he's just 1 year removed from that gruesome leg injury. He was really good last year. He had 15 goals. There was nothing bad about his game, but it was that first test in the spotlight. I only see him growing and turning into a guy that continues to climb this list and sort of that prime age for a defenseman right now. 27, 28 years old, sometimes something clicks right there, and I hope for him it's going to be his pace.
We root for the health of all the players. That was scary for Sergachev. Let's get back to you, Hicks, on Adam Fox. He's in our countdown at number 16.
Well, how did he drop so low, right? I think we get to a certain point with a lot of players, you see so much good for so many years. The production's always been there. Then we focus on what's missing from his game. I think it's time to get back to an appreciation for the way Adam Fox plays, the deception that he has in his game, a unique skill set. He's not a guy that's the fastest skater on the ice. He thinks the game as well as anyone. He deceives as well as anyone. I think if the Rangers are a better hockey team and under Mike Sullivan, a little bit more structure, clean it up in their own end, it's only going to benefit him. Perhaps what he does better than anyone else in the world is reads a play and follows it up and joins. Just like this, you see him find those areas, not because he's fast, because he takes the right angle. He takes the right route every single time. And that ability is going to serve him so well. And this is a guy a few seasons removed from a Norris Trophy campaign. I wonder, EJ, what's it going to be like if he is with Vlad Gavrikov? You know, Gavrikov's partners everywhere he's been in LA, Columbus, have always benefited from playing from him. I think Fox will be a big beneficiary of playing with Gavrikov.
It seems like a natural fit, right? I mean, a left shot, stay-at-home guy in Gavrikov, and then a right shot kind of puck mover like Fox. And, you know, I think the interesting thing with Adam Fox about, like, why he dropped, and I think it wasn't the best year for Adam Fox. It wasn't the best year for the New York Rangers, you know, and you said it. You don't get supported as well. That's problematic. But I think he's dealt with some injury issues over the last 12 or 18 months. You said it. Not the biggest guy, not the fastest guy. The key is the way he thinks his game. When you deal with injuries, it's just a little change in your game for someone who's not the biggest and not the fastest, who's a really smart and cerebral player, can make a difference. And so I think this year with they didn't make the playoffs, more time to rest, more time to recover, new system. I'm bullish on the Rangers this year with Mike Sullivan because everything went bad last year. I think things will go better this year. I think he's going to be paired with Gavrikov, which will be a help for him. I think Adam Fox is probably due for a better year.
And on that list, he's only chasing Brian Leetch. I've been around Brian Leetch. Leetch is the most modest dude ever. He said, you know, I played in big cities. He could have played on the moon. He was an amazing defenseman, and that's why we celebrate him. We're going to take our first time out. When we return, the next 5 names are revealed, and one of these 5, Hicks thinks could be a top 10 selection soon. Don't move. It's the top 20 defensemen right now.
Are you sick of tire dressings that start out greasy, then quickly fade and brown over time?
Introducing Cerakote's Rapid Ceramic Tire Coat. Cerakote's true ceramic technology has just the right amount of shine and lasts up to 10 times longer than traditional dressings. Just wipe it on to get professional showroom shine without the greasy mess that slings on your vehicle. You can trust Cerakote's #1 selling family of products with over 60,000 5-star reviews.
This is the best tire coat and protectant you'll ever use, guaranteed.
Buy today for under $20.
You put everything into getting it right, from launches to milestones and team recognition. With expert support, quality products, and on-time delivery, 4imprint makes sure your brand shows up strong. Visit 4imprint.com.
4imprint, for certain.
It will always bring us together. It might even surprise us. But more often than not, it's a belief that no matter where you are, it's with you.
Hi, everyone. If you were injured in an accident, listen up. We have legal professionals standing by to answer your questions. You can find out if you have a case and how much it's potentially worth. I'm Gina Belich, along with Super Bowl champ and 2-time Pro Bowler Vernon Davis. So, Vernon, tell everyone watching who should call right now.
Well, Gina, if you or someone you know were injured in an accident that was not your fault, give us a call right now. You can find out if you have a case and how much money it's potentially worth.
Thanks, Vernon. You know, the phones have really been busy. So what kind of calls have we been getting?
We're getting calls about all types of accidents, from car accidents to slip and falls and so many others. So if you were injured in an accident, don't go at it alone. Call for a free case review and find out how much your case is potentially worth.
Thanks, Vernon. You heard the man. Call now to find out how much money you qualify for.
Friday, it's 3 Ice Championship Week.
And that means someone will hoist the Patrick Cup. See how this fun season of 3-on-3 excitement wraps up.
A dart to the top shelf.
Friday, 7 Eastern on NHL Network.
So, the top 20 defensemen right now, 5 names revealed. We left off at Adam Fox at number 16. The next batch of 5 appears right now. The Vegas Golden Knights' Shea Theodore. Thomas Harley of the Stars at 14. Jake Sanderson, 13. Number 12. From the waiver wire to back-to-back cups, good for you, Gustav Forsling and Chucky Brightlights. Charlie McAvoy at number 11. I'm coming to you, Hicks, right away. You have your eye on one of these 5. Which one?
It's the 23-year-old Jake Sanderson, and I love his game. I talk about him all the time, and what impressed me the most early on in his career, AJ, is how good he was defensively. For a kid that was just out of the age where he was a teenager playing in college, came into the NHL. That's what stood out the most to me. Now when people talk about Jake Sanderson, they talk about his offensive game and how he's just an offensive guy that puts up points on the power play. Well, I know he puts up points in the power play, but his ability to cover ice defensively, what he does with his stick, the way he closes off space and breaks up the puck, those are hallmarks for being a great defenseman. He's already right there. And you see his numbers year over year. Yeah, it was a big spike last year, but don't be fooled. He's not an offensive defenseman. He's an all-around defenseman with an unbelievable skill set on the offensive blue line. What a treat it is when you see him on that Ottawa power play, walking across the blue line. It may be top 5 in the NHL for the way he's able to put pucks towards the net. It's a fake slap shot, deception, a wrist shot with a ton of velocity on it. I just think the world of him, and I think it's at both ends of the ice. He's a guy that, for me, is already right up there in my top 10. I know 13 is high for a guy that wasn't rated last year. Deserves every bit of it, and the curve it looks to be completely manageable for him as heading into his 4th year. He's looking to be a force for the Ottawa Senators.
He had a breakout campaign. EJ, what do you think of his game?
Well, I mean, he's maturing into what they thought he would be when they drafted him with a high draft pick. I mean, he's got the great genes, first of all, because his dad, Jeff, was a great skater. He was a forward, not a defenseman, but you could see the footwork there by Jake Sanderson. I mean, he's got the size, he's got the skating ability, he's got the smarts. He's really the total package, and he's just getting better year after year. And he jumped in the Four Nations tournament last year when they needed someone to step in, and he played really well. And I think that probably opened even more eyes. And as that Ottawa Senators team continues to get better with all those talented young players they have there, you're going to be hearing more about Jake Sanderson. I'm with you. I think this kid, there's a high ceiling.
So EJ Hradek is going to dive into the game of Gus Forsling. This is one of the most compelling examples of the importance of fit for an NHLer.
Yeah, you know, it's funny because Joel Quenneville had him in Chicago, right? And I asked Joel, like, did you see anything in Gustav Forsling when he was with the Blackhawks as a younger player? And he said, listen, in training camp every year for a couple of years, we would look at him and say, he's the best player in camp. And they had Kane, Taves, Keith. They were just blown away by this guy's ability. But inevitably, the season would start, he'd lose a little confidence, and it's hard playing in a team with all those star players, and he would fall off. Eventually, he gets moved on to Carolina. He goes on waivers, fast forward, Joel Quenneville is coaching in Florida, and he kind of, says, hey, listen, this kid has got some ability, maybe we grab him. The Panthers go out, they pick him up, and he has just been a great fit. And we just talked about maturity with Jeff Sanderson, right? Gustav Forsling is another guy who matured into his game and got confident that he could play in this league. Because remember, this is a guy who was a 5th-round draft pick for Vancouver in 2014. He wasn't that high draft pick that everybody figured was going to find a way. But he's just stayed with it. And Paul Maurice likes to joke. He's one of these guys that when he retires, they'll name the gym after him. Because he's always in the gym, always working on his game. He's just the ability to close the gap in the neutral zone, Hicks. You really, I would imagine, can really appreciate that. He just doesn't give you room. He gets in there. His stick play is terrific. I just think he defends really smart. He can bang you around a little bit. But I just think he is just so smart defensively and just closes time and space and uses his stick so well. He's a high-end player. I would have him higher than 12 on my list.
And I have him much higher on my personal list. The best defensemen in the NHL, one attribute that they all share, they trust their feet more than anything else. What I mean by that, when you watch him defend, he's on the brink of getting beat every single time. Maybe 1 inch if you're off. that guy's going by you. But we saw it time and time again, whether it was Draisaitl, Connor McDavid, all through it, every series the Florida Panthers go, he gets the toughest matchup, and it always looks like he's about to get beat, but he just understands that that edge is trusting your feet, trusting the fact that you might not even be skating forwards or backwards. You could be skating sideways, full speed against some of the top players in the NHL, and you have the ability to not only shut plays down, but if you do get beat, just to recover. His stick is so good, and that's what you want to watch. When you watch him play, watch how close it looks to him getting beat every single time. It looks like his feet are in the wrong place, but he trusts them, he recovers, and he makes every play. Great player when it comes to breaking up the puck, too. Really good with it as well, but his defending stands out by far the most.
Love the look at him shadowing McDavid. To your point, you could be right on the edge of it, and he stayed right in front. Very impressive. Let's get back to you now on Charlie McAvoy. I think back to the Four Nations and the injury he suffered. Team USA really had high hopes with him in there, and he had a difficult time of it. Where does he belong on this list to you?
I think he's slotted perfectly, and a guy with still so much potential. We talked about the age. I'll keep coming back to 27, 28. It's the sweet spot, and you see guys take that next step. I think there's more for McAvoy, but you talk about importance to a hockey team. There's one guy we'll get into later, but outside of that, McAvoy, the Bruins go as he does. He's got some snarl. He's got a bit of edge. He's a big guy. He's strong, but what stands out the most to me when I watch him play is the confidence. He exudes it all over the ice, whether you're watching up from the press box or you're down at ice level. You understand that sort of permeates through his group. When the puck's on his stick, it seems like he's passing that confidence off to someone else. But the big thing that I want to talk about, the one thing I want to see, you can't even quantify it outside of the ledger on the left. It's games played. He's a guy that's been hurt so much, and look, so many times there's freak injuries, bad things happen, strange injuries can pop up. This is a guy that I believe he's a big kid. He's always been that way, and he puts himself in some tough spots. And I think over the years he's got a little bit better at that. The biggest thing that I want from him, when we talk about the health of all the players, I want to see him be healthy, play full 82 games. We haven't seen that from Charlie McAvoy, and that's a shame, just because I think we all deserve 82 games and maybe playoffs out of Charlie McAvoy, because he's so much fun to watch.
Well, you know what they say, the best ability is availability.
Yes, sir.
Right? And he just plays hard. I mean, that's it. I remember seeing him play for Team USA at a summer showcase in summer hockey. Logan Lawson Krause was a big member of Team Canada. Charlie McAvoy laid him out at center ice with a big on-ice hit. He likes to play physical. He likes to play on the edge that way. I think he has a really good sense for the moment in every game in terms of what his team needs at times. And sometimes that leads him into maybe trying to make a big hit or make a physical play. Maybe not always the best time because, as you say, you can get dinged up. All of a sudden now it's a challenge. But he's one of those guys, if I'm picking 6 defensemen and I need to win a big game, I'd like to have him in my room.
He does line up for that moment, and it's I love that set of it's with the puck, just a little bit more protection. But hey, when you do talk about the Bruins, like him and Hampus Lindholm, if that's a healthy D pair, which they didn't have for much of last season, I mean, that pair right there could be one of the best in the world, and a big part of that is Charlie McAvoy.
The most enjoyable draft night interview I've ever done, Charlie McAvoy. He comes walking in afterwards. He's like, "What's up?" The confidence was sky high even then. You knew he was destined for greatness. We're going to take a break. When we come back, there can be defensemen who are defensive defensemen and then defensemen who are offensive juggernauts. You see the pictures. You know where we're going. Slavin, Bouchard. Let the debate continue. We have arrived at the top 10. Evan Bouchard is number 10. Then Roman Josi at number 9. Jacob Slavin, 8. Rasmus Dahlin is at number 7. And number 6, Josh Morrissey. Easy to find a polarizing debate when you bring up the name Evan Bouchard. You've called 2 Stanley Cup finals that he's playing in. You've seen him from high above, the way he can operate at the offensive end. A lot of people question him at the defensive end. How do you see his game?
Well, I mean, I think his defensive game has gotten better, and it is evolving, but it's certainly not the strength of his game. The strength of his game is his offensive play. and his ability to shoot the puck. I mean, to me, when I look at Evan Bouchard and you make a list like this, I think you have to include him just because he has an ability that is elite. His ability to shoot the puck and his ability to create offense, especially playing with high-end players, which, Thomas, is not always easy to do. He doesn't always defer to those guys, but he gets them the puck in the right moments when he has to. He's willing to shoot it, and that's the thing. His shot is really second to none from the blue line, and he's able to kind of walk that line and get himself in a position to get shots through. So he is a unique offensive player, and that's why he still remains on the list. And take a look at this. I mean, points, in the playoffs, highest points per game in the playoff history. I mean, he's there with Makar. The only guy ahead of him is Bobby Orr. Yep. I mean, so you can't. I just think you can't leave Evan Bouchard too far down this list with those kind of skills.
Yeah, his game never dips offensively.
Yeah.
And
that's a great point.
And at 25 years old, I don't look at this as a finished product. I still have hope, and I'm saying still have hope for a guy that puts up 60 points a year, and it was almost at a point a game a couple seasons ago. He's a great offensive player. We do know that. The thing is, I don't think he's a bad defensive player. I just am wondering, as most defensemen go home after a season, the coach and the general manager are going to get you to work on a couple of things. And you're going to the gym or you're getting back on the ice and you're thinking about these skills or how you can improve. The thing he needs to improve on is intensity in his own zone. Is that something that can be taught? Is that something that you inherit at birth, or is that something you learn along the way? And that is the biggest question for me, because all the tools are there, and you've seen clips of him actually defending well, boxing someone out. It's can you do it every single time? And at 25 years old, he has not mastered the game, and no one ever really does. In my mind, this is a project that needs to continue to be worked on, and it's just that intensity. It's a mental thing. It's a switch. Habits. We talked about habits earlier. They take a really long time to develop, and usually those are the bad ones, and it takes reinforcement all along the way, over and over and over again. Well, it's only going to be reps that get him there, where that's consistently part of his game, and the sky's the limit for him. If he can add that to his toolbox, he's at number 10 now, it'll continue to grow.
Let me ask you this, because you bring up an interesting point. Can you learn that, or is it something you're born with? You played in the league for many years. Where do you fall on that? Is there a definitive answer?
There's not, because I think it's a case-by-case situation. Some people can be taught, some people can learn, but I talk about these habits and how hard they are to break. Well, you've mentioned you've seen improvements in his game. I think we'll continue to see more, but that's a muscle that's tough to find and tough to flex. But if he can, time over time, it's only going to make him better. And for the Edmonton Oilers, I mean, how nice would that be? Not only relying on him so much with the minutes he plays to produce offensively, but showing that he can defend like he does when he does it good every single time. You're looking at a special player.
Earlier in the show, we talked about the importance of health. EJ put it best, the availability. In the case of Roman Josi, you've got to be really good to miss roughly a quarter of the games and end up this high on the list. He's so well respected, a Norris winner already in his career. Hicks, what do you like most about his game?
Well, the fact that he's the oldest guy on the list, 35 years old, and he's still fully entrenched in the top 10, not just because of what he did last year, but it's the body of work and understanding how impactful this guy is. He's the Nashville Predators' best player. He's often the leading scorer on their team every single season. And look, it's a blast to watch him on TV. I'll love to tune in, watch number 59 play whenever I can. But you know what's even better? Watching him live.
True.
And getting to keep your eyes on him, and you see, I don't know if anyone travels more miles in a season or in a day on the ice than he does, because he can be in his own corner, and then he can be leading the rush, and then he's the first guy back. It's spectacular. Health being something that we hope he gets. He's going to get to 1,000 points. Just continues to smash every single record. But this is a guy, in my opinion, outside of injury, was probably hurt more by their team's performance than any other player on this entire list. And if not for the struggles of Nashville, I think he's a guy that would continue to be back in the top 5. But pretty impressive when we're digging into this and you look at his age and you look at all the young bucks coming up behind him. There's a reason why he's been able to fend them off, and I wish him nothing but continued health. And I hope Nashville's better, because when they're good, I mean, he's one of the most special players in the world to watch.
And you know what I'll look for this year, too? Remember, they brought in Brady Shea last year as a free agent, and they paired them together. And I didn't really understand that, because they're both great skaters. They both want the puck a lot.
And they're both left-handed shots.
And they're both left-handed shots. So it didn't really make sense to me as I watched it. As the year went on, they separated them. I'll be curious to see what Andrew Brunette does this year with a healthy Yossi, hopefully, and Shea back there. I think that's your 1-2 on the left side. Or if you want to play, if one of them wants to play the right side, I just don't think they fit together. I think if they settle things out in Nashville a little bit, it'll help you. Because Yossi's still a terrific, terrific force on the blue line.
And if you're a young defenseman and you're an offensive defenseman and you want to make it to the next level, progress, boys or girls, you watch him play, because this is a guy, if you don't want to do it physically and be a brute that's slamming people into the boards and be someone that's cross-checking, clearing people out in front of your net, watch him play. Stick positioning. We talk about his offensive game, but all around he's adapted to being able to get up in the ice, not expending too much energy in those big battles. Just so smart with his stick. It goes a long way. You can learn a lot from him.
We've mentioned the Four Nations earlier in the show, and I'm coming right back to EJ with Jaccob Slavin. During the Four Nations, a national treasure. What a player.
Yeah, it is funny, right? And I've seen this happen over the course of my career when someone plays in a bigger spotlight, all of a sudden the masses are like, oh, he's really
pretty good.
He's really good. And now Jaccob Slavin's been around a while. He's been on a really good Carolina Hurricanes team, but it hasn't been a team that's been able to get to the final. And in fact, it hasn't been a team that's really made a dent in the Eastern Conference final on the times they've been able to get there. And he's not someone that lights it up in terms of offensive numbers, but he's so big and smart and long, and he just defends so well. The stick position is so good. He can stay, because of his ability to skate, he can stay with the best players in the National Hockey League. I always like it when Carolina and Edmonton get together the 2 times a year. He goes up against McDavid head-to-head. It's really fun to watch because he gives McDavid a lot of trouble because of that size and his skating ability. He's just a really high-end player.
He's the unicorn on this list. I mean, he's a defensive defenseman. No slouch offensively either. Look at the Carolina Hurricanes' history of defenseman production. He was a 30-point guy for a bunch of years. Now he's a 20-point guy because he just focuses on his game. And whether, when I talked about trusting your feet as a defenseman, he does that well. His stick, obviously, he blocks shots. He's that pulse of the Carolina Hurricanes. And all while doing this, he doesn't take penalties at all. This is a guy that will have a couple penalties every single season, all while playing against the best players in the world, and not only just doing that, shutting them down and being the best defensive defenseman in the world. I think a lot of Hurricanes fans, they feel good from this year. They were justified in saying this guy is this good. World stage, he proved it. We're going to see it again at the Olympics next year.
Best defensive defenseman. Of course, the Norris Trophy, the plaque says best all-around defenseman. And I think about the players who've won it. EJ, coming right back to you on this. I think about Jaccob Slavin and the fact that perhaps he's underappreciated or underrated when we consider who the best all-round defenseman is in the National Hockey League.
Well, let's face it. I mean, times have changed over the many years in the National Hockey League, and most of the time that award goes to the defenseman that produced points. I mean, that has kind of been the standard for many, many years now. There's been a lot of discussion about creating an award for defensive defense, but I think they wanted to call it the Rod Langway Award because he was a guy back in the 80s that was known as a really good defensive defenseman. So I don't know if that's ever going to occur. I think more people are seeing Slavin now. I think the fact that people saw him and took notice of him in that Four Nations, I think more people will see him and take notice of him in the Olympics. Those are things will help his case, but I mean, he is playing in an era with players like Makar and Quinn Hughes and several others that make it difficult to crack to that level. But again, you're trying to win hockey games. You'd love to have that big guy back there on defense. And in fact, I'd like to see him take a few more penalties because he's a big man.
But what does that benefit, right? What does it do?
Sometimes it does.
2 roughing penalties a year? Is that going to throw anyone off?
Send a little message once in a while. I mean, when it's 5-2.
Juice the numbers. Score. It's better for fantasy.
That's true.
As far as the defensive defenseman, I got one more point on that. The criteria, there's not too many of them left. For me, if you're going to be a defensive guy, can you break the puck out well? That's one of the things for me. And if you can do that, okay. It's not just that you're a defensive defenseman, you're progressing things all the way up the ice. He certainly fits that bill. A guy that's extremely clean And can you not make many mistakes? Well, he fills both of those, maybe as good as anyone in the league.
Next up to discuss, if you want a guy with a mean streak, Rasmus Dahlin. Guy goes first overall, and he plays the game with some bite. Fun to watch for a Buffalo Sabres team that we all know has not made the playoffs in a long, long time. He's a real bright spot.
He's capped right here at number 7 until the Buffalo Sabres can make the playoffs.
Yeah.
And then I think we're going to be talking about him. Well, it's tough to say it this year when we're going to get to the top 3, but we're going to say he's in the Norris conversation.
Yeah.
Why not him? Because he's got this edge, this competitive side, and he's been doing it every single year, not just not being in the playoffs, a lot of times not really playing meaningful games late on in the season. This is a guy I would just love to see him in a playoff series. It would be a coming out party of sorts. Not that he's not there now, but we'd appreciate the rest of his game. I mean, as far as production goes in the NHL, not many defensemen have been able to produce like Rasmus Dahlin, but at the same time, the physicality that he plays with for a guy that's sort of undersized, the amount of shots that he blocks every single night, I mean, just so impressed with him, the leadership role he's taken in Buffalo. I just need to see that team be better in order for him to get number 7 or above, and let's hope that time soon if you're a Buffalo Sabres fan.
EJ, when you look at that bottom line, that he's the only D-man in the last 4 years with 200 more points and 400 or more hits, what does that tell you?
Well, it tells you that he plays through whatever he has to deal with, right? Because he's not hurt a lot. He's getting in the games. He's making a difference night after night. And he's doing it, quite frankly, with a team that hasn't been very good, that hasn't been able to support him to the extent that other teams were able to support top players. So they're counting on him to be one of those leaders, right? In Buffalo, he wears the C now. We've been waiting for the Buffalo Sabres. Maybe this will be the year they take another step forward, and I'd love to see him get in the playoffs. It'll be fun to watch him at the Olympics this year with Team Sweden because, to your point, Thomas, I mean, this guy he's big, he's strong, he can play offensively, he can hit. He does just about everything you want a guy to do, but unfortunately, if you're not on a good team, we don't get to see all that in those big moments. So hopefully this is the year the Sabres take a step, but there's no question. Rasmus Dahlin is the real deal. He's a player.
Yeah, I love him.
And he's got a good personality. If you go back to Jeff Skinner's Between Two Stalls, watch the Rasmus Dahlin episode. It's excellent. We're going to take a break. When we come back, top 5 time. We are among the elite, the best of the best. You know what names are coming, but what order will they be in? We'll find out next.
Zach Werenski, we know what he's capable of doing.
The Zach attack is on!
He's got all the abilities. He's got all the tools.
He's really been a tremendous story that has transcended not just Columbus, but the entire league.
Stick check Werenski, and he is gone! Zach Werenski in overtime!
There's always those players that have that will, and Zach now has that.
A truly remarkable season.
That guy, Zach Werenski, on our list at number 3. Victor Hedman at 5, Miro Heiskanen at 4. But Werenski, what a story. A breakthrough season. He finished second in Norris Trophy voting. When you finish second to Cale Makar among defensemen, it's like finishing second to Brad Pitt in a handsomeness contest. There's no shame in it. Hicks, what do you think of Werenski and the year he had?
I think he's here to stay. And I talked about this age, right? 28, 29 years old, where something clicks. Well, something clicked for Zach Werenski, and I'm not exactly sure what it was, but looked like a man possessed last year. And look, Columbus went through so many tough times. He was the spokesperson the entire way through. This is a guy that at both ends of the ice, we see what he does with the puck. As far as setting up play, scoring goals, his ability to break the puck out of his own end and skate it out of trouble and then mosey on into the offensive zone, still with that puck on his stick, that skating ability, that's the bedrock of his game. But I don't think this is a situation where he had a really productive season or he scored goals or his teammates ended up finishing on the passes that he made. I don't think that's the case. He found another level, clearly entrenched as a top 3 guy, finished second in Norris Trophy voting for a great reason, but so impressed with him. And I think the biggest challenge is going to be how do you maintain that level? But everything I've seen and everything hearing him talk, I mean, it sounds like a guy with a heck of a head on his shoulders. I think this is a guy that we're going to be talking about for years and years to come as one of the best all-round defensemen in the world.
EJ, I know you've appreciated his game for a while.
first fully healthy season since 18-19. I mean, I think that's the biggest thing that's really held him back, is just that he's had injury issues at different points during his career. Last year, completely healthy during the season, and, you know, it showed on the ice. I mean, career highs in goals, assists, points, power play points. He led the whole league in time on ice, and his 23 goals, most by a U.S.-born defenseman since Brian Leach had that number in 93-94. So, you know, he was always a really high-end defenseman. I just think he's had injury issues, and the fact that, you know, we talked a little bit earlier about Rasmus Dahlin not supported well on a team that struggles. Werenski has not been supported over his entire career there, always by the Jackets. But you know what? Healthy, he took it to another level this year and led that team, and they were in the mix at the end of the year to make the playoffs, largely because of the way he played with his leadership both on and off the ice.
A lot of people that saw the Jackets play every night said, this guy could be the MVP. He's that good, and he means that much. That one more note to add, and the thing that Zach Werenski does better than anyone in the world, not just defensemen, that little wrist shot that comes in about right here, and he just does it off his back foot like he's just sitting in a rocking chair. So much velocity. I mean, that's something that every defenseman works on after practice, every single day. It just comes naturally to him, and maybe his biggest strength and asset that doesn't pop out when you watch him play because the skating takes over, but that wrist shot, it's something to behold.
We marvel at the sustained excellence of a player like Victor Hedman. Comes in, drafted second overall, and for him to be top 5 still, EJ, it's a real statement.
Yeah, I mean, I think we take Victor Hedman for granted because he's been around so long.
Yeah.
But, like, what doesn't he do in games? I mean, first of all, he's big and strong. He skates well, even at this stage of his career. You see him there blocking a shot. I mean, he does everything. He plays in all situations. He's been part of multiple Stanley Cup winners. He's been part of a lot of winning there in Tampa. He's the leader of that team now. I just think that Victor Hedman, I mean, he's a no-doubt first ballot Hall of Famer, and he's someone that I think we just don't give enough love to for what he's done and what's been an amazing and really very, very consistent career.
Yeah, he was the best defenseman in the world for a really good stretch, and maybe he's handed that over, but he's not quite letting go on it. And I talked with Matthew Darche today, former Lightning assistant general manager, and I told him I was doing the show, and he said, "Where's Hedman?" I said, "He's coming in at number 5." And he said, "How many 6'7" defensemen that can cover the entire ice and be a masterful power play player? How many of those guys exist in the world?" 0. Just him. He's the only one. And that's something that, as his career continues to go on, he gets a little bit older, mobility, that's going to go. There's certain things that are going to fall apart. Can you adapt and become better at something? I think he's better at running a power play now at the age of 34 than he probably was when you'd call him prime Victor Hedman. So the greats in our game continue to evolve. This is one of them still doing it.
Following up on that point, EJ, his ability to earn power play assists since 2016-17, those are forwards. Next to him, forwards hits. Yeah. Wow.
It's you know what it is? It's not like he's reinventing anything. The amount of time the puck actually spends on his stick, it's pretty minimal. And outside of plays like this, he sees the ice so well, but oftentimes it's a quick little one-touch over to someone else. It's distributing the puck quickly. He's got every type of shot that you could imagine. The slap shot stands out from a big guy like that. Just his ability to distribute. He plays with great players, but that won't take anything away from his ability to man it back there from the point.
612 points in the last 10 years. No defenseman in that span has more points. So he just does it all. That's the impressive thing to me. Like we talked a little bit earlier about Evan Bouchard, right? And his unique offensive ability, but struggling, to be a better defender. Victor Hedman has never had these struggles, right? He has always been someone, 3-zone player, 200-foot player, any situation, you want Victor Hedman on the ice. And Matthew Darche's point is really well taken. How many guys with that size and length and smarts have there been?
One of a kind.
Amazing.
Yeah. We've been celebrating him since 2016 when we started doing these ranking shows. There we are. And there he is, 5th even then. That's sustained excellence.
He should have been higher on that list.
Yeah.
That was a pretty good list, though.
Yeah.
Pretty good list.
Thomas Hickey, you were still playing at that point.
You guys are aging like Victor Hedman.
Thank you. The Seacrest gene coming from you? We have no idea how old he is, right?
That's right.
He's looked the same for Ryan Seacrest.
When he was drafted, I think it was in Columbus at the draft. Looked exactly the same way.
So we've arrived. We're going to take a break. When we come back, the best of the best. There are over 200 defensemen in the league, and you knew who the last two names were going to be. Hughes, Makar. Only one can be number one.
You can make a case. There's no one more valuable to their team than Quinn Hughes.
Such a talented player, but such a mind for the game. He knows how to break down and find the open man.
Hughes lets it go. They score.
Looks like he's on a punch.
Look at that quick move.
Out there playing free-flow hockey.
Shoots, he scores.
I love the leader that he's become. He's got that C on his jersey, not just because he's one of the best defensemen in the world.
We're really proud of our group. We got a lot of care. So at this point, it's just put your foot down, and wherever that leads us, it takes us.
And that's why he's the captain of this team. He's incredible. He's must-watch television.
Number 2 on our list, Quinn Hughes. What a player. He is so important for the Vancouver Canucks when you look at their entire game, statistically, on the ice, off the ice, wearing the C. Hicks, what a player.
He's changed the game for defensemen. That we know. Changed the game for wingers as well. Because it used to be an area that you could just be, I'm going to cover my point guy. It's all good. I don't have to do much. Maybe there's 5 feet to cover. Maybe he gets a shot through it, and I'm going to feel bad about that. Not anymore. You can end up in the highlight reel. You can get posterized, we'll call it, with the way this guy moves around the ice. I mean, he really has revolutionized the position in a way that it's become so dynamic from up there. And you see his ability now, the way he's worked on his shot, because it's not always just beating someone with a beautiful move up top. But he can do it all. And I think any winger in the NHL is scared because that's a tough assignment. But it's the poise. And how calm he is what stands out the most. I mean, if you go to a game and get to go ice level and you get to watch him, it's never like he's in a rush out there, even though he's moving so quick and so fluently. But he plays so much in that stretch for Vancouver when he was playing like 30 minutes a game. He'd come off the ice, and at times I'd be sitting there in between the bench. You see him sit there for about 10 seconds, look down, grab water, and then he's right back standing up. The next guy that comes, he's hopping over. I would say that no defenseman on this list is as valuable to their hockey team as Quinn Hughes is. And we've talked about other guys like McAvoy that's their absence has meant poor results for the team. I mean, without Quinn Hughes, I don't know where the Vancouver Canucks could have been last year. Add to the fact that he's the captain there. They dealt with a lot as far as distractions, and he was the leader in charge. His game never changed, but there's EJ, there's a good indicator of with and without.
Those numbers are absolutely crazy when you really think about the difference with Quinn Hughes on the ice and with him off the ice. It is mind-blowing what a difference there is. And you know, he must have played, growing up, a million of those, like, small ice games. Yeah. Because when you see him, to your point about up high, it's bad news for wingers up there.
He doesn't need much space.
You better just back off and let him have that room and hope, as they used to say, just try to contain him.
Yeah.
Because he can make you look really bad. And his ability to walk the line and to move back and forth, his edge work is just sublime. I don't know what else to say about it. He's a brilliant defenseman and so much fun to watch.
And he defends well, too.
That's right.
Let's get that in
there.
Because
He's a dogged defender.
He might be a 100-point player, but you watch him in a one-on-one battle, like right here, he competes just as hard as anyone. He sets the tone for Vancouver.
As much suspense as there is asking the trivia question, how many U.S. states end in Hampshire? You knew who was going to be number 1. We celebrate number 2, but it's time to hail Cale. All hail. Cale Makar at the heart of the whole thing.
He's probably the best defenseman in the world.
Conn Smythe winner, Stanley Cup winner.
Hall of Fame resume already.
He can pound the puck hard. He plays physical.
Big hit on the far side by Makar. It's a hat trick for Cale Makar. That's right, Iceman. I am dangerous. What a coast-to-coast goal. Doesn't get any better than that. That's hockey, baby. All hail Cale.
What a spectacular performer. You see his career stats. Ranks among defensemen since 2019-20. It took him about 45 seconds to figure it out. Came into the league ready to go against the Calgary Flames. And when we were preparing for this show, Eej, you've watched this league for a while. You've got a great frame of reference. You said, and I quote, he might end up the best D-man ever. That's amazing.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at it, all the things he brings to the table, he very well may be. And that's something I never thought I would say as someone who grew up as a young boy hearing about Bobby Orr. And we know how wonderful and great Bobby Orr was. And watching Nick Lidstrom over many years, and watching Scott Niedermayer and the Chris Prongers, there's been a lot of great defensemen. But at the end of the day, he may end up being the best defenseman ever, at least to date, with what he does. He is dynamic. His edge work is special. He's a special skater. He can play physical. You can see he's already been part of winning at the highest level in the National Hockey League. I don't know what else to say about Cale Makar. I will add this about Makar and Hughes, because I think these players are... There's not a ton of difference for me between Cale Makar and Quinn Hughes. The difference is simply, and we talked about this in the meeting, Cale Makar's just a little bigger, and he's a little more dynamic, I think, than Hughes. That's it, really. But that's a difference.
Yeah, it is a difference, and we're talking about two great players. But the greatness of Cale Makar, something I never had, fast twitch, pop. Cale Makar's got that. You watch him, it's almost violent at sometimes, as much as it is smooth. Somehow it balances out into this greatness in the player that we're seeing. But the physical side of it, he can be a little dirty sometimes. He can be a little mean. I think above all else, maybe what separates him outside of the skating ability is his ability to get into great prime shooting locations that other defensemen just don't seem to do. He can be in the offensive zone, and all of a sudden, why is number 8 in the middle of the hash marks like he is right here? He finds those spaces, so the skill, the smarts, it all adds up and turns in to us witnessing greatness every single time. And I think if you were to poll 32 GMs around the league, I think a lot of people would be surprised if they said, you get one guy, you can start your organization with this one guy. How many would actually pick Makar, just because of the importance of what it means to have a defenseman in today's NHL that can do everything? And we're talking about a guy that I think we're going to see a 100-point season out of him at some point. He already saw a 30-goal season. Is that going to be the norm for him? I mean, as long as this guy's healthy, I don't really see him relinquishing that top spot, if not to Quinn Hughes. These guys are just incredible. And Cale Makar, it's just a treat every time we get to watch him or talk about him. Yeah. We could go on and on.
Yeah, no question about it. I just love watching him play. And he's got the 30 goals last year. It's not an accident. He can shoot the puck.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, you talked a little bit about Werenski's got a good shot. Makar gets to those spots, and he's willing to hold it, and then he could snap it and beat a goalie from distance. So, again, that's another of the attributes that he brings to the table.
So our guys also came up with their own list. Top 20 defensemen right now. This is according to NHL Network. This is how it all came out the previous hour. You've been paying attention, we know. Then, Hicks and EJ. Hicks, you first. Your list. Talk us through it.
Yeah, glad we saved some time for ridicule. Let's look at the... Look, I think the biggest thing that stands out, you've heard me wax poetic about Victor Hedman. I've got him lower on my list than my peers did. And the big mover for me was Gustav Forsling. And a big part of this reason with having him so high is not only does he do it every season, but he does it in the playoffs against the very best players in the world. And to me, that means so much. And that's why he's way higher on my list than probably anyone else's. But the first 4, that's the same as everyone else. Josh Morrissey slides in at 6. I talked about my love for Sanderson and why I have him up there as Slavin. I think just one spot difference, Rastelline, for the reasons we talked about. But Hedman and Forsling are the ones that probably will catch your eye, bring on the ridicule. I left out so many good players. Let me hear about it. I understand I could probably fit 15 guys in a 10-person slot, but this was the 10 I came up with.
Forsling's name is on the cup twice. Ede, you're up.
Yeah, and I echo all your sentiments. I mean, these are hard. For me, Miro Heiskanen has always been way higher on my list. I've been a big fan. I moved him down a little bit this year. He got hurt. That's no fault of his own. I think if a healthy Miro Heiskanen, he probably goes back up. I gave the respect to Victor Hedman, also to Jacob Slavin as guys who can play in all moments of the game. I'm with you on Forsling. I have him at 6. Dahlin, I have to move him up just because I think this guy's really good. I'm not going to hold it against him. The Sabres struggle. And I did put Bouchard in at 10 just because he does something that is a difference maker in the game, and he is elite at shooting that puck, so I had him at 10.
No wrong answers.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, if you're not in the top 10, the top 20 doesn't mean... These are all great players. So you at home, you make your own lists.
Let the debate continue. The old adage is defense wins championships. A lot of great players among our top 20. Thanks for watching the Top 20 Defensemen right now.